Hey folks, 14 Guitars here. This is just a real quick intro. During the discussion of this ride, I said that I had ridden the short South Trail and then the full South Trail. I actually mistakenly rode the intermediate South, mistook it for the short. And so this is the intermediate South Trail that I'm riding. I rode right past the short trail. And the intermediate trail, you actually hit a crossroads and you can go left or right. And if you go left into the woods, you make a quick circle and go right back on the intermediate trail. I think you hit it at about 5 miles in. You hit the short, and if you go right, you got the rest of the 15 miles for the whole trail. If the short trail is actually when you first get to two-way traffic on the power lines. You pop out of the woods, you're in two-way traffic, there's a little sign on your left. I think this might show up on the right on the screen, but anyway, it's on the left. And it's easy to pass it because you're going to be concentrating on looking down at this two-way trail. So it's at about 2.5 miles in, and then there's about a 2-mile ride back. So just to reassure you, this actually is the intermediate South Trail followed by a full South. And I can't remember what I talked about. I think I mentioned it in my intro, which I almost always do my intros. When I leave the trail, I record an intro talking about what you're about to see. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I sure appreciate you. And on to the intro. And in the intro, it'll tell you when the actual ride starts. Take care. Bye-bye. Love you guys. Appreciate it. What do you say, everybody? 14 Guitars here, and woo! We are just leaving the Wambaw Cycle Trail with the YZ250X. I think I've got about 9 hours on her now, and I had a great ride today. It's August 5th, 2025. I intended to ride the short and intermediate South Trails because I don't have a lot of videos showing those. I only show the whole South or the whole North. I did make it on the South, and then I missed the turnoff back on the intermediate trail. It's easy to do. What happens is you pop out of the woods onto a power line section, and there's a little sign that shows the return. It's the same kind of return sign that you'll see if you look today, if you watch this, to the 5 mile, on the 5 mile short loop. A little sign that says, that way it's 15 miles, that way it's 5 miles, something like that. Real simple. I went right past that, in anticipation of hitting these whoop-de-doos on the X, which is a whoop-de-doo machine. It's a beast. The whoops beast. I got a woods beast and a whoops beast. But anyway, great ride. Today I rode the short, not talking a lot, and then I did the long and South, since I missed the intermediate. And I talked about stress, its effects on the body, how to combat those effects, including how to get better sleep. And I didn't really get into nutrition, and I'll do nutrition next time, but nutrition. I grew up in the 60s, 70s. People were skinny. Everybody was skinny. A big fat person was extremely rare. Two things have contributed to the massive bloatation of the population. Sugary drinks. Sugary drinks were very rare. Parents didn't buy Cokes for their kids. There were some families where kids drank Cokes, but very few. So sugary drinks were few and far between. That's number one. And number two, highly processed foods, high in fat and carbs. Highly processed foods, high in fat and carbs, those wonderful ho-hos and ding-dongs and cupcakes and cakes and crackers and even some modern energy bars. They're just crap. They're highly processed, they're not very nutritious, and even if they are nutritious, the macros, the fats and carb content combine to make your body crave more of that and to give you lots and lots of extra calories. If you could get rid of added sugar in your diet. You just don't have sugar in your diet. Don't drink anything that's sweet. Number one. And number two, only eat fresh food. So meat, proteins, like so meat and poultry and fish, which is all proteins, fresh, that you cook yourself. Vegetables that you cut up and cook yourself somehow, saute in a pan, boil, even if you boil with bacon, right? Some green beans, boil for 20 minutes with salt and bacon. Far healthier than almost anything else you can eat. So, I'm losing my point. The vegetables, you can eat all the meat and all the vegetables your stomach will hold, and you probably will not gain weight. All the meat and all the vegetables that you care to eat, you will be satisfied with your meals sooner. You will go in between meals without cravings. And then, just as a little certsy, a little gift, a little extra to add to that diet, is a couple of helpings of fruit per day. We eat, for example, every night I have a mandarin orange or two after supper. That's my dessert. That gives you fiber. That takes care of business the next morning, if you know what I'm talking about, what fiber does. And it's extremely healthy. I'm 171 pounds. My wife has actually been, like I said, taking care of her mother a lot more, been away a lot, taking care of her. And so I've eaten far less carbs. My wife she's from Charleston. She likes rice with every meal. And when we do have rice, I tend to eat it because I love the flavor. And a little too much rice, and I will at least hold my weight, if not gain weight. So I've lost about 4 pounds just feeding myself because I only eat vegetables and meat with a little fruit. That's it. So that's the nutrition side of it. Here's a couple of things that you might not know. You can still eat white rice and Wonder Bread, right, along with fresh meats and vegetables. If you eat them together, the glycemic index, which affects your blood sugar and can be bad for your cells over time, the glycemic index that might be bad for you, look it up, glycemic index from white rice, let's say, or from processed bread, which is just Wonder Bread. There's not actually bad stuff in Wonder Bread. It's just not it's not complete, it's not whole grain, so you're missing a few fibers and other things. But if you actually look at the macros, it's not that bad. The glycemic index is counteracted, the high glycemic index, which can be bad for you, is counteracted by eating it with meat. You combine those two foods, and that goes right out the window. So if you eat a New York strip sandwich on Wonder Bread, you're not going to have a high glycemic event. It's perfectly healthy. Lots of good macros, good food, and 2 pieces of bread, not too many carbs. So minimal processed carbs, all the carbs you can get from veggies that you care to eat, and all those nutrients, all the protein that you can stand to eat from meats, poultry, or fish. If you do that, do the stress reduction techniques that are in the long loop, long south loop in this video, and also the stress symptom recovery techniques like helping yourself sleep. You do those things and you can change your life and your body completely, even if you can't escape a high stress situation. All right, everybody, love you guys. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I'm so glad you enjoy them. All this weird stuff that comes out of my mouth, I'm glad someone likes to listen to it. Even I don't like to listen to it all the time, and sometimes I watch it myself. Thumbs up if you like this video. Watch it first. And then if you want to see more of my videos, just please hit subscribe. Thank you much. Now my phone is telling me it's got to cool down because it's so hot. My AC's broken and my windows are up so that I can make this video. And I'm about to turn this video off and open my windows and get back to my office and then get my truck fixed up and get that AC fixed. Love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right, everybody. I'm going to use my cell phone for this section just because it has a little better quality than the GoPro. So Wambaw Cycle Trail, Wambaw OHV Cycle Trail here at beautiful Francis Marion National Forest. I think it's 200,000 acres in the state. So it's a federally controlled forest. All righty. We are going today, so Wambaw Cycle Trail has 2 big loops. It's got the north loop and the south loop, and they're north and south of the staging area where we are now. So we already rode the North Short and the North Intermediate loops. And that's on my video from about a month ago, maybe not that long ago. So today we're going to concentrate on the South Trail. The South Trail doesn't have as much 3D terrain. It's more flat. It's faster. It tends to be faster. Look how these long straight sections it has. Long straight sections. There's a lot of power lines up in here. There's just straight runs where you're paralleling the highway and you can see cars, and it's kind of cool to be racing those cars out there. It's just a lot of fun. Oh, here we go. You are here. North Loop, South Loop. But this makes the North Loop look like it goes to the east, right? But as you can see, it really goes north. All right, so today, I've done videos of the entire South, but today we're doing short and intermediate, okay? And I mentioned it in my other video, on the South, you have a few opportunities to make it back to the parking lot by these connecting roads. Far more opportunities than on the North. The North only has a couple of roads that'll, here and here, right? Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different roads that'll get you back, really 7 if you want to count this one too. But you don't, unless you're on the actual trail sections, you're not supposed to ride the forest roads unless you have a licensed motorcycle, a street licensed motorcycle with insurance and all that. So anyway, this is us today. We're gonna head out on the South Short and then South Intermediate. And if I feel like it, I might do the full South, but probably just those two today because I got to go back to work. All right, everybody. Now we'll get back to the video. We are at beautiful Wambaw Cycle Trail. We're going to ride the South Intermediate and Short loops today. And I may have to stop the video for a second to say hi to this fella. I'm not sure if I know him or not. Maybe not. Maybe not. It's usually a good idea to talk to someone in the parking lot if you don't know them, and you meet people that way. We're a bunch of nice folks in the dirt riding community. Probably I'll give him a chance to come over here if he wants to talk. I mean, he's out on a ride today, probably having a great time, and he may not want to talk to anybody. He might want to just enjoy the beauty of the day. So it's about 77 degrees today. It's the 5th of August. Shocking how fast this year went. They all go fast the older you get, and people say that, but it really is true. To combat that, just learn a lot of new stuff every year, and it'll slow it down a bit. I've learned tons of stuff this year. We might talk about some of that on this ride. So yeah, if he's here when I come back, I'll probably ride over and say hi to him. So here we go. Let's go take a ride. Now, last video I posted up at Manchester, my bike was hard to start. And I believe the problem is either there's a little vapor lock here, or I'm just not getting enough head pressure when I'm on regular feed. It's lower down, so there's less gas above the tube to give it a little pressure, and so maybe my float valve in the carburetor is slightly stiff. I don't know if that's what the cause is. What I did today is I started it up, and it didn't want to start like 3 or 4 kicks. In standard mode, standard fuel petcock, the on position, not the reserve. Remember, the on position, it comes from like here on the tube, and reserve comes from up here, from down here on the tube. So you got more fuel above. So on is here, reserve is here, more fuel above, pushing more pressure into the carburetor to overcome the float bowl. If I got a slightly sticky or a slightly stiff spring on my float bowl, that might have overcome it, because I went to reserve. I did a slight vapor lock, and then I went to reserve to get that added fuel head. They call that head pressure, and head literally is just a vertical measurement, like the head pressure of water will be how many feet of water you have above some area, and that gives you your head pressure. And I think every 33 feet it's 1 atmosphere. So I think I'm going to talk to this fella. Let's see. Oh, that's somebody on the road. All right, anyway, back to this hard start bike. So anyway, now something else I found was that when I changed my jetting, I actually forgot to reconnect my carburetor connections here. One controls the power jet. So I've changed to a number 40 power jet. It comes stock, I believe, with a 50 or a 55. I can't remember which it is. And they used to be 50 all the time, and then I think the latest are 55. And then so I didn't have the power jet, which controls, you know, from about I think about a quarter throttle up to 8,000 RPM, and then turns off. And then you're running strictly on all your other jets, and especially your main jet at high RPMs. The other thing is the throttle position sensor. The throttle position sensor communicates with the capacitor discharge, the CDI here, capacitor discharge, or maybe it's CID, capacitive induction discharge unit. The computer that controls timing sends the spark down to your stator when it should give you a spark up to your spark plug. Right, so without that turned on, the bike's going to run different. You might have noticed it was a little lean and also a little bit hard hit, right? A little bit of power, twist the throttle, and not smooth acceleration. A little bit torquey. So anyway, we've got those reconnected. I did a little warm up on the warm up loops here. There's one over here and one over here. This one's rectangle. Not this. This is the kids area, but over there, there's a warm-up rectangle, and then over there, there's a warm-up track for the adults. This is a warm-up track for kids. I think I said it last time, if you're here and there's no one else here, no one's going to care if you ride the warm-up track for kids, but stay off it when kids are on it, of course. All right, so let's go. Let's roll. Woo! Oh, this weather. All right, so let's hit the south shore. I woke up just a little under the weather. We've been taking care of my mother-in-law, who's approaching the end of life. She's 100 years old, and so there's a lot of events happen where we don't get as much sleep. And this is when you got to get caretaken. It's a part of life. So I'm a little bit dragging today, but the trail won't look any different. It just won't go by quite as quickly. So I thought, let's at least get out and ride. The sand, the top level of dirt here is pretty dry. There's still a little moisture underneath, but it's snottier than last time I was here. It hasn't rained in a week or so, I'd say, something like that. And so the front's just a little bit sloppy. Is the sand. You see that even at that speed, my rear end just slid down the slope of that turn from the outside toward the inside. It literally just slid out from under me downward. No big deal. I don't know how to deal with that, but it's just a demonstration of how sloppy. Now there is a little water on the trail there, so maybe it's a little wetter than I think. There's a little moisture here too. But the places that are in the sun are certainly kind of snotty. Remember, the South Trail is more sand than the North. It's flatter and sandier than the North. I'm not running my scoop tire on this. I'm running the stock rear tire. It's bad. I'm only running it like 9.5 psi. I'm not going to get the traction I'm going to get with the scoop tire, but still, fun little ride. So there's the first long whoop section. The YZ itself, YZ250X, has been just a pure joy. The hard start condition, I didn't like that, it's a little nit, but I could just lean the bike over to drop a little fuel into the fuel tank, float bowl, and it would start right up. That's how I know it has something to do with my float valve, my needle valve. I checked it all out. It looks perfect. Maybe a little vapor lock. I don't know. Maybe it just takes a little longer. Also, maybe putting it on reserve when you start it up speeds the process of getting fuel down into your float bowl because of the increased fuel head. All right. First set of whoops of the day, a real whoop. Yeah, that rear end just kind of slides down to the center of the trail. Imagine a ball rolling down a trough, a rounded trough. If the ball rolls up to the side of the trough, it then rolls down to the center. The gravity, in my case, I've got gravity plus me giving it a little gas and slipping a little bit, flipping that rear wheel, spinning, getting some tire spin. And that just collapses the sand column and the rear end sinks down. Now you just correct, that's not a big deal, right? Maybe if it's your first time, it can be a big deal. I think I fell over 20 times the first time I rode the South. And it was from these slow speed sand corners, and my body not knowing what to do. So the rear end starts to slide into the center. It's going to change your direction, right? If it slides, let's say I'm on the left side of the trail here. I go around a corner and my rear end, because I'm going slow, spinning the wheel a little bit, slides down into the center of the trail. Now, basic geometry, right? It's going to change the direction of my bike. Now, imagine moving my rear end toward the center, but keeping my front end right where it is, going around the corner. My bike is going to be pointing more to the left. Whichever side it slides down, it's going to move your bike's geometry facing more that direction. If it's slight, you won't even notice it. But let's say you're going really slow. You're just starting off. You've fallen and you got back up, and you haven't come to speed yet, and you hit a corner. And you just, you're in second gear, and you spin the tire a bit, and it slides down on you.
2.0 miles, duration 11 minutes, 15 seconds.
Don't like that coincidence, but anyway, yeah, that's how snotty it is here. Look at that. I got to be a little more clutch conscious. Beautiful butterfly. Anyway, so if you're going slow, you got to give it a little turn to the right to correct for the displacement. Essentially, it's the same as with a car or any other thing. When you slide, you turn to the direction of the slide. So you're going around the left here, your rear end slides to the right, it makes your bike point left, you turn a little bit to the right. Then your geometry of your front and your rear is corrected to be facing forward the trail instead of heading off the trail to your left. Yeah, that little get off there, that was just me underestimating how soft. The thing about the South Trail is took a wasp or a bee to the upper lip. I don't think it stung me, and I think it fell out. The thing about this South Trail is it has more sand. The places that are in the sun dry out pretty quickly and get snotty. But then you get into sections like this where there's a lot more woods, and you don't have to go very far down the sand, through the sand, to hit moisture and traction. So you get used to that, and then suddenly you come to a really sunny place like right here. You're riding one way, and if your brain doesn't register, oh man, that's going to be really dry and slick, you might corner it the exact same way, which is what I did, right? I went pretty slow, I was talking away, very distracted, and just slid the front end out. What I needed to do is carry more momentum through that corner. You know, give a little bit of gas on the way in, get that clutch in on the way in, and not accelerate too quickly. Let the momentum carry me until I'm like past the apex, and then start giving it some throttle. And my apologies, y'all. I know a lot of my audience are experienced riders, and but you know, if you've been here before, you know I tend to focus on newer riders because I only got back into riding at 51 after being off for a long time. You know, not riding since I was a teen, except street bikes, and I had to relearn so many things. And so that's what's fresh in my mind, right? So in a way, you could say I've been riding modern bikes for 12 years, although I had a YZ250. I was 15. But obviously it was a very different platform than what we have today. That was like 1977. I was 15 in 1977. And I think my bike was the first, I think it was a 74. I guess it could have been a 75. It was completely beat up. For a while, my front handlebars were held on with a pair of vice grips. And I lived above the Mokelumne River in California. Mokelumne, M-O-K-E-L-U-M-N-E. You know, a gold-rich river in Northern California. And I would ride the gravel river road, or gravel and rock river road above that, just flying. I also didn't have a silencer. I'd broken it off before I got the bike. So I had a straight pipe. I had handlebars held on with vice grips as tight as I could get them. And I'd be flat tracking on this road, just echoing the hills with that awesome sound. You know, when you're 15 years old, the louder the better. After all, we did buy brushed glass pack mufflers for our mom as a Mother's Day gift for her 70 Camaro, but her 70 Chevy muscle car. We put them on while she was at work. She came home and she had glass pack loud mufflers on her car. It was the age. It was what you did in those days. But I guess a lot of this stuff is just I got a little low geared there. I like to ride those, a little higher geared, and wasn't doing a very good job of gripping with my legs. Usually that section I can go pretty fast. I was a little squirrelier than I like to be on that section. So we might as well slow down in general. Now, as you can see, the intermediate trail, excuse me, the short trail is no joke, right? You get all the deep sandy features. We missed some of the coolest little forests, the little mini oak forest, like a hobbit forest, but you hit all of this stuff. So really good experience for sand riding. If you're not a sand rider, this will be a dramatic wake-up call. Think of it if you're from up north and you don't ride sand. If you're a skier, think of this sand as powder snow, and similar techniques apply, right? You don't have to go exactly where you want. You only need to go enough where you want to stay on the trail. So approximately is good enough. You know, perfection is the thief of good enough, and good enough is definitely good enough in this deep sand. And perfection in deep sand still is about as good enough. I'm sure there are levels to it, but my whole point is precision where that front tire tracks. is less critical, and you have less capability to do it in the deep, powdery, sandy sections. Of course, it's obvious, right? But what we're doing is preparing your brain not to react if the front end moves to a little bit different side of the trail than you were aiming for. Roll with it and keep riding. That was the mushy sand right there. All right, I think the short trail is really well marked, but also returns in an area that seems quite obvious. We're going to pop out on a road. It's going to say, you go left, 5 miles. You go right, 15 miles, something like that. 15 miles to go. And, woo! Oh, man. Look how deep that sand just completely covered my wheel. I did buy a second set of wheels for my YZs. I got, 2 YZs now. What I'm carrying, like if I'm going to go on a long trip and I've got my trailer, I've got a front, which is the same wheel for both bikes, with a Bridgestone M59 on it, which I just like. It's my favorite tire, front tire. Works good everywhere, and I'm used to it. I've got a 18 with a Dunlop MX14 scoop tire on it, and I've got a 19 with an IRC VE33 on it. So I'm going to use this stock, what is it, MX33, 18-inch wheel here. If I ride this bike at Brown Mountain where it's gravelly, granite face, I'm going to just drop the pressure and see how this thing does. I don't think it's terrible. It's definitely going to be better than my scoop tire. And I'm going to swap out this tire for local rides to the scoop tire, which I put on my extra 18-inch wheel. I'm going to keep all those wheels in my truck. If I get a flat, I carry some heavy-duty, the slower you go, the harder this is to ride, right? So when you're first starting out and you're cruising along as fast as you can go, you're sliding all over the place in this sand. Anyway, back to the tires. I want to have there we go. So there it is, south intermediate loop, 5 miles straight ahead, 15 miles to the trailhead if I go that way. And I don't know why it takes a little long to drop down to the right RPMs here. Either the way might just be the way these YZ's CDIs work. So anyway, we're gonna take this, we're gonna go straight. Essentially, we're gonna make a little tiny loop, cross this road and go back. And that'll be our short loop. Here we go. Oh, how far have we gone? We've gone 5 miles so far. If it's 5 miles back, that would mean the short loop's 10 miles. I guess it is. I guess it is. The whole loop's only about 20, so the intermediate must be 15 total, something like that. We'll check them at the sign when we get back. Let's just finish the short north loop. Yeah, here we are, 5.3 miles. So you saw I looked at my watch. I mentioned it on my Manchester videos, but I'm going to just cruise here real slow. This is a great section of it. There's where the full trail loops back together. That's where the trails meet. Both the intermediate and the long follow that same path back. All three of us are in the same section back right once we get to the short. I mentioned that I record my rides on my watch, the Garmin. In my case, it's a Forerunner 240. Those are highly discounted right now, and it might be a 245. It does everything I need. It's got plenty of battery life. It records my heart rate, my GPS track, and I can have it record there's a setting on the watch to record every 1 second my track and heart rate. So that's plenty good for these trails. I also wear a chest strap heart rate monitor on Wahoo Fitness and use Ride with GPS app on my phone to record my rides. So we got our watch to record our rides. See, we just crossed this road. We were just up there. We're just up there. So you literally could have ridden right down this road to connect here. So anyway, ridewithgps.com has a free app, and I believe you can even do it through the website. I'm not positive. I think you can, but I believe you need the app to link with your heart rate, and I use it also to record my ride. Now, Ride with GPS has one problem, is their fit files don't include heart rate. So if I do use Ride with GPS, I need to, instead of the FIT file, I use the whole TCX file. TCX is like the full-blown recording of everything my phone recorded. You know, heart rate, speeds, more snotty sand here, all that stuff. And I import it through Fit File Repair Tool, which spits out a fit file, FIT file, which is Garmin's native file. It includes heart rate. It includes all the other stuff. It records my track and my speed and all that. But because these graphics that I use, the speed, heart rate graphics I use, come through a Garmin app. Garmin has a program called VIRB Edit. Garmin used to have a camera about 5 years ago, maybe a little longer. It's a VIRB, VIRB camera. Nice little camera that recorded all kinds of stuff. And the complimentary part of that camera was this program that took that camera's information automatically and lets you place graphics on the screen, like speedometer, compass, you know, picture of the tractor riding, which is, you know, what you see here, over here. But the beauty of that program is it's still available, and you don't have to use the VIRB camera. Any video, any basic video you can use that you can record on your phone or on a GoPro. Then any fit file, FIT file, that has information you would need in it, you can import that. And then combine the two, choose which gauges you want, synchronize the gauges to the video display. In other words, you don't want your speedometer saying you're going 30 miles an hour when you're actually stopped at some road or something. So you do have to synchronize the fit file, the FIT file, with the video, and you got to do that manually. I might make a video to say how I do that, but it used to be a lot easier. It would show a Google Maps display and the fit file. And what you could do is you could look at your frozen video, see where you were on the Google map, and then set your timing on your FIT file to match your speed and location. Using that map as a guideline. Well, the map stopped working. The program is still available for download, which is great. But the link to the Google map stopped working, and so far nobody's been able to fix it. In the past, people have been able to fix it, but not lately, not since the last dump this program took. So I have to do it manually. It's kind of a nice little hobbit forest area. I think this is about half half of this type of terrain that you get when you ride the full trail. So I guess the intermediate trail will get this whole thing. I call it the Hobbit Course. It's a lot of small oak trees, kind of windy. You're in the shade. It's real nice in summer. Look how much harder it is to ride slow. It's just harder. When you got momentum on your side and gyroscopic effect and all that, you know, and you can take this to the limit, right? If I tried to go a half a mile an hour, there's no way I could do it. So it's clear. Actually, it's clear that there's a sweet spot, right, between not moving where you fall over and going too fast and just blowing through a corner and hitting a tree, which I've done, of course, many times. Learning process. I'd say 80% of safety on a dirt bike is knowing how to correct when the bike gets out of shape. Your muscle memory, your tools, your hands and feet, your balance, and your brain to correct, not the if you get out of shape, but the when you get out of shape. I was thinking what I was going to say, if you never improve, you don't have to worry about that. But even if you ride at the same technical level every time, your body's not going to perform perfectly. We're human beings. You're going to get out of shape. And knowing how to correct an out of shape condition is the reason why I've fallen one time on the short loop, and I will not fall when I ride it again as part of the intermediate, versus 20 times that I used to fall the first time I rode it. I actually have like a little diary that I fell 20 times. And I come home and say to my wife, I only fell 14 times today. And I remember breaking the 10 fall barrier. And these are all just falling over mostly. I wasn't going that fast. I just didn't have a clue how to handle these conditions. Growing up riding rocky roads, rocky flat tracks with granite and baby heads, mini boulders. All right, so now we're in the two-way section. Keep that in mind here, especially up this corner. All right, now we load on up to fifth gear. Grip your leg. Let the bike work. Let the bike work the whoop-de-doos for you. Heels down, balls to your feet. All fifth gear here, of course. You know, YZ250X gearing, fifth is really high compared to the YZ gearing. So now we're down to fourth. All right, back into fifth. Let those heels hang down. Let the bike suspension do its work. Nice and smooth and easy. Gripping the bike with your knees. You don't have to squeeze it. Just grip it. Almost like you're steering the bike with your knees. You know, you don't yank the bike side to side with your hands to steer it, right? But with your knees, you don't have to either. Just snugging your knees up. It gives you a really stable core. Keeps you from wobbling from side to side, which keeps the bike straight over all these strange bumps and It just keeps the bike from getting out of shape at the higher speed, and you just kind of glide over everything. All right, here we go. Two-way traffic. All right, heels down. When you put your heels down, your knee will automatically kind of snug the bike anyway. The geometry of your legs will kind of push your knees against the bike in a supportive way. So there's your two long whoop-de-doo sections, power line sections that we showed earlier at the sign on my phone video that I took. Made a mistake and sat down a little early. Had the bike hit me in the booty. Can't get lazy. Can't sit down before the whoops are through. Get to do a flying W. Have to go over the bars. Most of us eventually do that. Whew. We're almost home. Notice red, blue, green. Excuse me, green, blue, red. It's because we're on the red, green, and blue trail. All three of the trails covered this section. This trail is used for all three. This section of the trail, the return for all three trails. Makes perfect sense, right, when you look at that loop. But it can be confusing if you're just talking about it. Because really, it's just one big loop. If you think about it, with some shortcuts cut across that loop. So while technically that does make 3 loops, it's still all the same big loop. The same exact trails you ride. You're just cutting off part of the one big loop. Use a shortcut back to the parking lot. Which is also nice if someone's looking for you. If you're not sure if you're on the short, intermediate, or long, if you're not positive, they'll still find you. But if you happen to know that you turned at the intermediate or the short, then you know exactly how you limit the search area. They would have to search to find you if, say, you had a flat tire or had an engine problem. Well, I'm not going to complain about that. Idle. I'm going to call that really good. Okay, so let's go take a real quick look at what we just did. And there's a little bit of this that's put the bike in a hole there. There's a little bit of this that's redundant because I did it on video on my camera, but this is just a review. A good presentation is tell somebody what you're going to tell them, then tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them what you told them. So we're in the tell them what you told them. So we went here. This was that little two-way section. Hit here, we had a long power line, woods, long power line, and back. So that is the Wambaw OHV Cycle Trail short loop. Take a quick break. Next we'll do the intermediate loop. All right, everybody. Woo! Here we go. And the YZ250 ran fantastic. You know, now that I got the carburetors plugged in, which is not a surprise. And we'll try that starting sequence where I put it on reserve when I start it, and then put it back to regular once the bike starts. Oh, let's check out our spooge. How much spooge? Not terribly, even though we're riding fairly slowly. So the jetting and everything seems to be working really well. All right, we'll be back in just a bit, okay? Bye. All right, everybody, took a bit of a break there, relaxed a little bit. I may have mentioned it already that I didn't get a lot of sleep lately because of the taking care of our mother-in-law, and so I just took a little more time off and relaxed and had a nice cool drink. Feeling pretty good. It's only maybe 78 degrees and just low humidity. It's a spectacularly beautiful day. I'm so thankful to be out here in the woods riding, and let's go do the South Intermediate. So we did the South Short. We're going to do the South Intermediate, and of course you got the whole South, which I'm not going to do today. And but let's knock this out. So we'll get this for the video record. So the bike is sat for a little bit, so I'm going to take it fairly slow. I think it's been like a good 15 minutes or so. So I'm going to take it a little bit slow. It's already warm. We'll let it warm up a bit more before we give it any kind of hit the gas much. I've lowered my front tire to 10 psi. Wow, first time I've ever hit neutral on this bike. But of course I'm barely crawling here. So the sand is so soft in some of these corners, right? In real soft sand, you want to run lower tire pressures to get the tire to kind of float. All right, so here is the distance of our trails. They don't make any sense, right? This says the short trail is 5 miles, but we were at 5 miles when we turned around and came back. The intermediate trail link says 11 miles, and the overall trail link says 20 miles. Oh, I know what happened. Never mind. My watch was already running when I did a couple warm-up loops, I think, and that's why my watch said 5 miles. We'll check it this time. When we get to the I restarted my watch just now, so my distance is almost 0, and we'll see how many miles it takes to get to the turnaround, and then that'll tell us whether or not it should be about 2.5, somewhere in there, maybe 3, because it's more windy going there, and then 2 on the way back. I think these were put up by Chris and Stephanie, and they're pretty good about this kind of thing, so they're pretty accurate about this kind of stuff. All right, let's go. South Trail. Notice we got green, blue, and red here because they all use this section of the trail. Taking it nice and easy, letting the bike warm up a bit. Anyway, we'll see if it makes any difference, 10 psi on the front versus, I think I had it at about 11.5, something like that. A lot of times out here on my M59, I'll run it, my M59 right at 11, precisely at 11, you know, and it seems to make a huge difference. You wouldn't think there'd be much difference between 11 and 12 psi, but whether real or imagined, it feels like it to me. Cruising at high RPM range right now. While we're going slow and easy, let's talk about stress. I mentioned that being a caretaker to somebody can be a stress-inducing activity, especially if it never stops, especially if it interrupts your sleep. And so that's what we're experiencing right now. And it's good to know that there are techniques. Well, you know, the easiest way to reduce stress, heels down, right? Grip the bike. All right, a little better than the first time through. Anyway, much better form, made that much less scary and easy to ride faster. All right, so the easiest way to reduce stress, or the most effective way to reduce stress, is to remove the conditions that are giving you stress, right? And I think quite often people inflict stress on themselves, and it causes bodily harm. This little short discussion we're going to have, I want to stress that stress harms your body. It harms your health, along with your happiness, right? But it's literally physically harmful to the human body. So people who live, let's say, constantly arguing on internet forums, I think we'll pause this until we clear up what to do here. Go a little slower. All right, go a little slower where you can hear me a little better. People who live on internet forums and argue all day long, you can get addicted to that feeling, that adrenaline rush of not accomplishing anything, but your body being fooled into feeling like you've made an accomplishment when you have literally done jack shit. You know, absolutely nothing important. Arguing about who's better in sports, or arguing politics with people whose minds are not going to change. You can say, well, it's for the audience, but in many cases there is no audience except the person you're arguing with, the people on both sides. There's no neutral audience watching the discussion. So that's a form of stress that's easily removed. You just stop doing it. Get rid of that tab if you got that whatever form it is that you tend to argue on as a tab on Google, Chrome, or your browser. Remove that tab. Reduce the frequency that you're on that website. Comments. If you're a poster on YouTube, you can't be reading the comments and getting upset. Because you got to figure, even if one person in 100 is just an irrational jerk, you got hundreds of people, somebody is going to say something stupid. Now, I don't know if I've ever had a negative comment where I was offended or upset by it at all. Thankfully, my audience is dirt bike people. Dirt bike people, they might say, you talk too much because I want to hear the sound of a dirt bike, but they don't end it with, you're an idiot. So, it hasn't affected me much. I read the comments constructively, try to answer people's questions, because I have the luxury of not having that many viewers, so not that many commenters. So anyway, so that's essentially self-inflicted stress. Why is it bad? Why is stress bad? Stress releases a couple of powerful hormones that are very harmful long term. They're very helpful short term. So all things in moderation, as they say. The number one stress hormone is cortisol. Cortisol improves your cardiac response, makes it easy to release and use glucose, so sugar and fuel in the body. It essentially supercharges your body physically. And adrenaline gives you that emotional supercharge, as well as, you know, dilating your blood vessels. It's another supercharger, a physical supercharger on your body, your blood vessels and everything. Those are great during a race, in fact, or a ride like this even. In fact, the reason motocross racers can ride for 40 minutes with their heart rate at 200 is because that activity uniquely releases adrenaline and most of all cortisol. So you don't see that. Okay, here we are. First road we crossed. We'll take that road back if it was an emergency. We've gone 2.6 miles so far. You don't see other sports where the participants have heart rates of 200 to 205 for 40 minutes straight. It's the combination of excitement, a little bit of a fear factor, and the drive to compete, and also the physical activity itself creates a loop in the body, feedback loop, that causes your body, like I said, to release lots of cortisol and adrenaline. Lots of cortisol. You couldn't maintain that heart rate without extra cortisol in your bloodstream. So, kind of unique. That's why they say, you know, motocross racing is the physically most demanding sport on earth. It's arguable, but it's at least top 3, and maybe on a consistent basis, number 1. All right, heels down, balls to your feet. Let the bike absorb the bump. That's a two-way section right there. Here's where you come back on the trail, right? For a short distance of two-way. All right. So cortisol, bad. Adrenaline, bad. But only if you experience it long term. What can cortisol do to you? It does all kinds of stuff. Long term, cortisol can make you gain weight because it affects your brain in a way that makes you crave food. It can affect your immune system. It can suppress your immune system. Make it easier for you to catch diseases and to succumb to the many diseases and things that attack your body on a daily basis. It can cause cardiovascular harm. It can build plaque in your arteries. Certain chemicals are released when you have high cortisol in your bloodstream that cause plaque to coat your arteries. And it can affect your sleep. And then you enter a feedback loop because lack of sleep causes many of the same symptoms, the same issues, right? Lack of sleep can make you hungry, crave fatty foods. All right. Yeah, that section didn't used to be quite so whooped out, so you could really crash that section fast. Those initial whoops are just a little brutal. All right, so we talked about it. Weight, immune system, cardiovascular issues, and sleep. And that happens if you don't remove a source of stress or you don't manage stress. Now here's the beauty. If you can't escape the stressor, like for us right now, taking care of our mom, we can't easily escape that stress. You can manage it, even though you can't remove the source. So, and please, nobody mistake, when my mother-in-law passes away, it's going to be the end of an era. She's 100 years old. She's the woman I love the second most in my whole life. Just a super incredible woman. I respect her and love her so much. Her name is Dulcie. And so I'm not speaking light of this. I'm just trying to be real about what's happening. So, how do you reduce stress if you can't escape the stress condition? Well, there's 4 pretty effective ways. The top 2 are about equally effective. So you can use meditation or mindfulness. That's where mindfulness is where you just basically focus on right now and you don't think about other things. You just focus on now. I'm eating a meal. Mindfulness here for me would be not talking, riding the bike, looking at these whoopie-doos, thinking of the feel of the bike under my feet, feeling the breeze, seeing the sunlight, feeling the low humidity, how good that feels. All of that, that's mindfulness. Essentially minding your world, minding your business. I'm not thinking about the ride home, packing the bike, going back to work with those things right now. That's mindfulness. Meditation, you can look it up. Tons of techniques, tons of books, tons of websites on how to meditate. Meditation does a similar thing. You concentrate on kind of a single theme or a single thought. You might just say, peace, peace, over and over. And you might say it as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And you might actually concentrate on the feel of your breath. You say, you feel it come in, and you breathe out, peace. You might do it with your eyes closed, relaxing in a cool, dark room, something like that, okay? So that is technique number 1. Sometimes you can't do that. Or you might not enjoy that. Technique number 2, just about the same effectiveness, is exercise. Go for a walk. 15-minute walk in the sun. Try to walk at a decent pace to get your heart rate up a bit. Your body will do a physical release of hormones and also it'll remove that cortisol for hours afterwards, even days afterwards. If you combine the 2, do some meditation and do some physical activity like I'm doing here, right? I'm a very mindful person anyway, so that part is a part of my daily life anyway. I think about the here and now a lot. I think there's a certain kind of brain type that doesn't think much about future or past. Attendant with that is you have pretty poor memory of the past, because it's just not important enough to record in your brain. And I think it actually has a name, I can't think of it, but anyway. So for me, I kind of live in the present. So for me, physical activity is a huge benefit. All right, so there would be the short loop back, and this does say 5 miles. So the short loop is not 5 miles, the short loop's 10 miles. I hear my phone talking. I'm going to stop this video for just a second. I think I have a podcast going on my phone. Yeah, my phone has a real bad habit. If I've been listening to a podcast or playing music, even though I close all, Galaxy S20, I close all apps out here on the riding the trails. If I hit a bump, for some reason it'll restart the podcast or music. And I've got start on vibration turned off, so I don't know what's happening. But anyway, I didn't want to get that on the video and you know, spill over these guys' podcast onto my video. Look at that. How in the world did we do that? Anyway, back at it. What was I saying? I was talking about physical activity versus meditation. Both are very effective. Both are very effective for battling stress. By far, oh, wait a minute. We're not going this way. We got to go intermediate, so we can't cut back on that trail. Whew. So if you're not going to ride the short trail here, you want to make this right, and about 100 yards that way, we're going to go back in the woods. We're going to make a left back into the woods, okay? All right, so let's do that. Notice that there's only the blue and red on that sign. I'm actually not sure why there's blue and red, because this is also the green. So anyway. Let's talk about, let's get back to the subject. Exercise and meditation have been shown to be more effective, or as effective as medications for most people, short term, and more effective long term. So while you may get some initial benefits from some medications, and please look this up and verify what I'm saying. I'm only repeating what I believe I read and heard. Go ahead and check the studies. Ask ChatGPT to give you the studies on this. Find out. Look up, ask Google, give me a comparison between success rates or efficacy of exercise versus medication to reduce stress or associated symptoms of stress, which might include, let's say, depression. And hopefully I can say that word without Google censoring us. I don't monetize these videos, so it doesn't make any difference at all to me financially. So those are the first two. The third one is social contact. Talk it out with a friend. Don't go alone. Don't bear stress alone. Find someone to talk to. And they don't have to be a friend. That's why therapy works for people, right? You can talk to a therapist. It doesn't have, it's just another human being to share the load with. Essentially, to get you to offload some of the emotion, or share the emotion with another person. And hopefully that person can empathize with you, and through empathy and sharing, it's therapeutic. Now I'm gonna stop talking, and we're gonna see how fast the bike actually can go. I don't know if she'd go any faster than that if I would have stayed on the throttle. You know what? I might have gone straight past the intermediate somehow. I think I thought that last time I tried this. riding this trail, you think I know where I am. But since I only ride the long, I'm not sure where the short turns around and goes back, but it sure does feel like I passed it. I don't think I was supposed to reach that that long connector road. I think when we popped out on the power line, I was supposed to turn around right there. Maybe what we'll do is we'll just show the short today in the other video. We'll have to do the intermediate another time. Be in the moment. When you're going this fast, you can't do much but stay in the moment. fast for me. Some of these kids are so fast. This is amazing. How good they are. That first section on the way back, you know you're on your way home now. Back to fifth here. Cutting down the hit just a little bit between whoops. Out of control on a corner, pull that clutch, get that clutch in. Technique if you're early, new riders. So these kind of your regular whoops, you know, you see connect, like hit one whoop and land two whoops later. Don't do that if you're a beginner. Slow down enough so you're hitting every whoop. Yeah, I don't recommend if you're tired, and I'm starting to get tired. Woo! So, I'm a little winded. So I'm going to go back to the single whoop technique. How much of fitness equals technique? I think a lot of fitness equals technique. You can have the brain, muscle memory, but without the fitness to match it, just can't execute what you know would work. What you know has worked over and over. I hit a pretty good dip in the road like that, pothole. How was that me knocking the wind through my voice box? Alright, we're back on two-way. Keep your eyes and ears open. A lot of times you can hear somebody coming if they're cranking it. Surprising distance even with earplugs in. I think that's stuffy earplugs. When I raced southern routes in 23, you know, you could hear guys coming up from way behind you. Guys were fast and really cranking the RPM. Sorry about that. I was a little close to the edge of that metal plate, diamond plate, or whatever you call this stuff. And didn't want to hit it, rub the front wheel against it, so I just took the water instead. We got a pretty good dose of mud. I hope it wiped off the lens for you. Alright, so there's some water. If you had to cool off, you could put your beer in that water. I wouldn't drink it. Soak your shirt. Sit in it if you're really overheated. In the middle of summer here, it's really overheated. If it rains, sometimes there's water there, and you can sit in that and do a little emergency cool off. Yeah, it shows you how dark it is back here because we still have a lot of wet spots. Also, the water table back here, this is kind of swamp, so it's going to maintain water long after the sandy drainage area. Alright, so we talked about the 3 methods of stress reduction, right? We talked about meditation or mindfulness. We talked about exercise. We talked about social. The last one is, man, I know it starts with a B. What the heck is it? Boy, I can't remember. So, alright, so here we join the little 5-mile return trail. Let's talk about one of the major issues caused by stress again. We're talking about sleep. So, while you are working in stress reduction techniques, you can maximize sleep, whether you can reduce the stress or not. Whether your techniques for reducing stress work or not, you can still do other things to improve your body function. Sleep is so important. Sleep and exercise and nutrition are so important. They're about like 3 legs of a stool for human health. And the most important thing for sleep is a schedule. A steady, consistent schedule no matter what. You go to bed at 9 and you get up at 5. Period. No matter what. Period. If you have to stay up till 11, you still get up at 5. If you wake up at 3 and get up, you still go to bed at 9. practice that rigorously, your sleep will get better and better. Your body will release the proper hormones to put you to sleep, and it'll just get better over time. You don't have to do anything else. Literally, maintain that schedule as best you can. Your body will do the rest. Second is atmosphere. You're not going to sleep if it's noisy, or if you're laying under a bright light right on your face, or it's 95 degrees. You want a cool room, below 70 if possible. I think 67 is optimal, like the optimal minimum. Right? If you can achieve that and add enough blankets, even in summertime, try to get down to 70. But if sleep is an issue for you, invest in the cost of electricity to cool your house more. Maybe install a mini split air conditioner or a window air conditioner just for your bedroom. Then you can keep the whole house at 75 or 76 or whatever, but you can cool the room you sleep in. Third is limit distractions and activities before bed that make you more awake or more wakeful. Those would include screen time, right? Bright screens, an hour or less before you try to go to sleep, can be very disruptive because your body controls sleep partially based on light, like how much light there is in the day, how much light you've been exposed to. You don't want to drink water, a lot of water, say after 6 o'clock. You don't want coffee after about 2 o'clock. All of those things affect the process of you falling asleep later. Too much water, right? You go to bed and an hour later, it's been laying down, there's pressure on your bladder, you wake up and you have to pee, right? So the third letter in this group of cures for sleep deprivation, L for limit these activities. And then finally, establish a tranquil routine within an hour of going to bed. So that might include turning down the lights in the house, turning the television to, or your screen, if you're watching the screen, or reading, to subjects that are relaxing. In other words, NFL football at 11 o'clock at night is very hard on your sleep, especially if you're a real fan, a highly invested fan in that particular team, and it's a close game. So, hey, you can sacrifice sleep one night a week for the excitement you get from that, if you want. So, the trade-off is worth it to you, but be aware that things like that essentially harsh your buzz. They remove your tranquility. So for some people, they drink a little warm milk, or they have they play some soothing music, or something I always did is I rub my wife's back, I give her a back massage, and I'm not talking about with any ulterior motive there. She enjoys it, it gets her sleepy, and for some reason she got me addicted to doing it, because somehow it's pretty smart to where I kind of crave it. If I haven't given her a back massage, my body is kind of telling me, man, you got to rub your sweetheart's back. And a couple things we get out of that. We get a really soothing emotional bond, especially since I'm not asking for anything in return. And it's just physically relaxing for each of us. You know, I'm not giving her a muscular massage where I break a sweat. It's just a back rub. It's just a nice, soothing, smooth rub. And it's kind of a meditative thing. We also, she and I tend to watch the same TV shows when we go to bed every night. We watch reruns of Frasier over and over and over. And you'd be amazed how quick, since we do it every night, the brain says, oh, it's time to go to sleep. I will go to sleep, I'm not kidding. I can go to sleep in 1 or 2 minutes and not wake up until like middle of the night when I have to use the restroom, and then go back into a hard sleep after that. So those initials are S for schedule, A for ambiance, your environment, but ambiance is an A. L is limit, distracting or exciting things. And T for tranquil, a tranquil environment. So that acronym is SALT, the SALT acronym. SALT helps you sleep. And so that takes care of a couple of pillars of reducing stress in your life and improving health, right? All of these things ultimately, they improve your health, your well-being, and how you feel, right? You physically feel better if you get enough regular sleep. You physically feel better and can fight disease. You lower stress. You're healthier physically if you lower stress. Physiological changes in your body due to hormone changes. And those come due to brain changes. It's amazing how your brain can change your body. Man, it's what your brain does regardless of your environment. All right, two-way trail, take it easy here. All right, get fifth again. Heels down, knees tight, snug. Starts to float. Down to the fourth. Up to fifth. So we don't have quite so much acceleration. Bump. Up that tire. Ride that tire down the back side of each foot. Ride that tire down the back side of those whoops. Don't be trying to jump. Ride it down the side, down the back side, get that front end lifted up, ready for the next one. And if it looks like you might miss and fall into a hole on the next one, you just give it more gas. You ride it down with your weight. And if you have to give it more gas to ride it back up, push the front tire through and over the next whoop, over to the next whoop, over the top of the trough. Your front tire is going to end up in the trough, and you're riding the back tire down the back side of the whoop you're on. Give it gas, including gas with a little clutch if necessary, to blast your way through, and lift that front tire through that trough so you don't land in the trough. That bike just purrs, that motor. It just purrs, it's so smooth, it's outrageously smooth. I used to think you might need a vibration damper on a two-stroke, but properly balanced two-stroke, I don't notice any vibration at all when I'm riding. I only notice if I'm gripping the bars too high, too tight, not bending my arms. I'm rolling everything now because I'm sitting down. Yeah, back up. Won't make the same mistake and stand up before we're through the woods this time. That booty bouncing too high in the air. Amazing what a difference. You can have the same attack position. If you're not dropping your heels down and gripping the bike, it behaves completely differently. It jumps all over the place. You just lock those heels down, naturally your knees will grip. And it takes so much less energy to keep the bike straight. And it kind of does it all by itself, so you don't have to keep it straight. Just stay straight. Got caught a little bit under my leg. Gate to gate, baby. So put the bike in the shade where it can cool. Put us in the shade where we can cool. Whew. So that oh yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I'll take that slightly elevated idle speed. That's a good idle speed out there. I don't need it to be down there at 800. All right, folks, we're back. Whew. Get packed up, head to the office, do a little work, and then get ready for the day tomorrow. Whew. All right, 14 guitars. We just hit, pardon my slobber, we hit the short trail and then we hit the long trail instead of the intermediate. I missed it. I'll have to look at my past footage. I think it's where you join one of the, where you first get on the power lines. The second time you get on the power lines, there's a sign where you would turn around right there. It's after you cross an unmarked forest road. But we'll check it out. If you like my videos, please, if you would, please give it a thumbs up. Any video on YouTube you like, please give it a thumbs up. Those people work hard, and that little thumbs up really helps them. And if you like my videos and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button down here. And when I put a video out, which I'm doing a little more regularly now, you'll get it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Love you guys. I hope you get out and ride. Parents, kids, love each other. The last time, every time you say goodbye to someone, it might be the last time. So, all right, take care.